Hello and welcome to video 4, mental addition.
Mental addition. Like we said in video 3, addition means that we've got an original amount and we're going to make it bigger by adding something to it. Mental addition means that we're going to be trying to add up these numbers or these amounts in our head, which sounds easy to people that have done it for a while, but actually if we use things like base 10 and a number line, we can actually explain what that means, and it means that people have got an understanding so that then they can go to more mental methods. So, number line, I'm going to be doing it in black. The important bit about number line is we have the smallest number down here and we're going up to make it to a bigger number here. Okay, so we're using base 10, and instead of using the actual cubes, I'm going to be drawing it out. It's going to be quicker, and for speed's sake, so that you're not spending hours watching me dragging different base 10s or drawing out base 10s, we're going to draw it a little bit different to the place valued videos. So before we talked about a unit looking like that, and that's because we've got our units like this. It's going to take me absolutely ages to draw out little cubes like that, so just for today, or just for the purpose of the video, I'm going to draw a dot for a unit. Also, we said that tens were rods, and that's completely correct. But for ease sake and for speed's sake, I'm just going to draw a line to help us work out the base 10 for these calculations. And just the same as before, hundreds will still be a square. So now we've got that understanding, let's go on to onto addition and mental addition. So let's have a look at mental addition. Let's start with our first calculation, or first sum. So we're going to have the number 37, and we're going to make that number bigger. We're going to do an increase by using the symbol add or addition. We're going to make it bigger. We're going to add 13 to that number, and then we're going to see what that is the same as. This symbol here is equal, but it means that this will be the same as what we found once we've finished our calculation. So if I was to do this mentally, I would start adding the tens to it and then adding the units. Now I'm going to explain that using the number line and using base 10 so it's more understandable. Here's my number line. And because we're making the number bigger, we're making 37 bigger, we're going to put 37 down here, because when we add to it, it's going to go up the number line. I'm going to use my base 10. I've got my 3 tens and my 7 units. Right, I'm going to add 10 to 37 first. So using my number line, I'm going to add 10. I can easily see this with my base 10. I've got 37, I'm going to add 10. I can clearly see that that's 47. I've now added my 10. I'm going to add the 3 units on. Now I know that 3 adds 7 adds 10, but let's just work through it quickly together. 1, 2, 3. I've added those 3 on using my base 10. 1, 2, 3. I've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 units. And we know when we've got 10 units, we need to stick them together. 47, 48, 49, 50. So, 37 add 13 is the same as 50. This is the kind of thing that you're going to be seeing in your head when you move on to more mental methods. By having a visual picture first, you can see the process and then move on to doing it into your head. Let's have a look at another larger example. Okay, so we're going to look at 286. And we're going to make that bigger. We're going to add more to it. We're going to increase by 37. And we're going to see what that is the same as or equal to. Right, now we talked about fluency in video 4 and about actually making as few steps as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think, hang on a second, I can make this 37. It would be easier if I just added 40 to it. I'm going to use my number line again because remember, mental methods mean I'm doing it in my head. You can't see what's going on in my head, lucky for you. And therefore, if we draw it out, you can see the process I'm working through in my head. I've got the number 286 and I'm going to draw out my base 10 to make that make more sense. 1, 2 hundreds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tens, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm doing it in my fluent method, so I'm just going to be adding 4 tens. 10, 20, 30, 40. So, here, I'm going to add my base 10. 286, add 10, 296. Add another 10. Oh, hang on a second. I've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got 10 tens. We know we need to stick those together to make 100. So I've now got the number 306. Add another 10, 316, and add another 10, 326. Oh, hang on a second. I actually had the number 37. I just pretended that it was 40 because it was close, and I know that there's 3 away from 40. So what I'm going to do with my fluency method is to now take off 1, 2, 3 of those units. So 1, 2, 3 of those units, I can see I've got 323. Let's double check. 326, 325, 324, 323. Now you don't have to do it the fluent method that I've just done. You could do it the way that we did the easier example, very quickly, and I'm not going to draw the base 10. I've got 286. I'm going to add my 3 tens. 10, 20, 30. 286, 296, 306, 316. I'm then going to add my 7. Now I know that if I add another 4 on, I'm going to get to 320. I know that 7's made up of 4 and 3 from my number facts before, so I just need to add on another 3. And my answer is 323. The same answer, this had more steps in, this way's more fluent, but they both work the same way. Here are some questions for you to have a go at. The 1 star is a little easier, the 2 stars a little more difficult. Have a go at either doing one of the fluent methods or just by adding the tens and the units with a number line or trying to do it in your head mentally. Pause the video to have a go and then we'll go through the answers together. Okay, so let's have a look at this question here. 54, add, we're going to make an increase, 29. So we're going to make the number bigger. If I look at my fluency strategy, I actually know that 29 is pretty close to 30. In fact, it's only 1 off. So I'm going to use my number line again. I'm going to write 54 here because I'm going to make my number bigger. I'm going to use my base 10. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tens and 4 units. I'm going to add 3 tens on there. 10, 20, 30. 10, 20, 30. 54, add an extra 10 is 64, add an extra 10 is 74, add an extra 10 is 84. Hang on a second, remember I actually wasn't adding 30, I was 1 off. So what I've got to do is I've got to take 1 off this answer here. So my answer is 83. If I were to do it without doing the more fluent way, and by adding the tens and the units, I'm going to do it like this, but I'm not going to draw out the base 10 again because you could see what I was doing up here. 54 down here. I'm going to add my two tens, 10, 20, 54, 64, 74. Then I'm going to add my 9 units. I know that 4 add 6 will get me to 80. I also know that 9 is made up of 6 and 3, so I need to add on the rest of the 3 to get me to 83. Same answer. This just took less steps, therefore was more fluent. Okay, let's go for this question here, the harder one today. Again, I'm going to use a number line so you can see what's going through my head. I'm going to write the number 374 here, so I've got 374, and I'm going to do an increase. I'm going to make it bigger by 48. So 374 is on the left, and we're going to make it bigger. I'm going to use my base 10, and I'm going to draw out my 300s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 tens, and 4 units. Now, I'm going to use my fluency strategy and go, hang on a second here, 48 is pretty close to 50. In fact, it's just 2 away. So I'm going to add 5 tens to this. 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Oh, my number line wasn't long enough. Let me just show that I'm adding jumps of 10 here, and that's what I would do mentally in my head. So I've now got 374, add an extra 10, 384, add an extra 10, 394, add an extra 10, hang on a second, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tens. We know when we've got 10 tens, we're sticking those together to make 100, so I've got 404. Add another 10, 414, add another 10, 424. But remember, I actually added 2 more on to get to the 50. So what I need to do is I need to take off those 2 now. You can see from my base 10 we've got 422. Let's double check. 424, 423, 422. You can see that 374 add 48 is the same as 422. That was my fluent strategy. But if you wanted to add the tens and the units, like we did before, that's also fine. Again, I'm not going to draw out the base 10 this time because it's just the same as what we've been doing here. I'm going to add on my 4 tens. $374, 384, 394, 404, 414. Then I'm going to add on my units, my 8 units. I know that 4 add 6 equals 10. So it's going to take me up to 420. And I know that 8's made up of 6 add 2, so I need to add on the extra 2 to get to 422. Again, this way was more fluent than this way, but we've got the same answer in the end. So we're going to add our new learning to our number mind map. We've been looking at mental addition. We were using a number line to show what was going on inside our heads when we were doing it mentally. We were also using base 10 to show what that actually meant. We were adding the tens, we were adding the units. We were also being more fluent by rounding up to the nearest 10 or rounding down to the nearest 10 and adjusting. We used our old fluency understanding to help us with our number lines. We knew that things like 6 add 2 made 8, so we therefore adjusted on that basis, and we also used our understanding of place value to understand what that meant on the number line with base 10.